You're watching Twin Tiers Sunday with Leanne DeRosa.
Welcome to Twin Tiers Sunday. I'm your host, Leanne DeRosa. For years and years, Eldridge Park in Elmira has attracted families for some summer fun. And today we're going to explore all it has to offer so you can get out there and enjoy this summer. From the carousel to mini golf, paddle boats, amusement park rides, concerts, picnics, there's something for the whole family to enjoy. But I think one of the best storylines surrounding Eldridge Park is its history. And that's where we're going to begin today. So let's take a step back in time. I spoke with Michael Robertson, the president of the Eldridge Park Carousel Preservation Society, and Dale Bryant, a board member and volunteer, and they told me this story really begins centuries ago.
Dating back to the 1860s, when Dr. Eldridge purchased about 100 acres here.
As a doctor, Edwin Eldridge enjoyed helping his patients, but he knew there was a whole community that needed to focus on their physical, mental, and emotional well-being as well. And he looked at those 100 acres as the place to do just that.
He just wanted to provide a place, he owned it privately, and wanted to provide a place where people could just come and enjoy and relax. It started out as a Victorian walking park back in the day, a lot of fountains, a lot of statues, that type of thing. And there was no amusements here, there was no vendors at all permitted here.
People just came here to walk. There was a chapel here where they had non-denominational Sunday services. Lots of plantings, lots of statues in the lake, statues on the land. This garden that we're sitting in right now is a small example of what would have been here in the 1800s.
When did it change into the amusement park? Not necessarily that we know today, but similar.
Started in the 19-teens when one of the Long family brought a carousel here, which was here for a few years and then moved. And then it started pretty much big time in 1924. Oh, well, they always had the carousel, they always had a roller coaster, then they had many other rides, scrambler, a Ferris wheel at one time, the flying scooters, which we currently have, and then a kiddie land with 4 or 5 kiddie rides in there. And the rides would change from time to time. The Long and Bittler families were here running the rides and making it an amusement park from the 20s clear up to in the 80s when it closed.
When Eldridge closed in the 1980s, that wasn't an unusual situation, especially up here in the Northeast with the way businesses and corporations were moving south or overseas and things like that. So for Eldridge Park to have closed down, it wasn't unusual in the industry.
That economic turmoil led to Eldridge Park's demise, and it was left as just a memory. Over the years, the city of Elmira took care of the grounds. Most revival ventures turned out to be short-lived. Until 2002, though. Dr. Robert Lyon, a forensic dentist from Elmira, recalled his fond memories of the park and decided to form a group dedicated to its restoration. And so, the Eldridge Park Carousel Preservation Society was born, and that's who we can thank for today's amusement. How has it changed over the years?
Well, we're resurrecting some of what was here. We're trying to make this a combination of what Dr. Eldridge envisioned with the Victorian Walking Park and some rides. It'll never be a full-blown amusement park like it was probably at that time, or like some of the big corporate parks, Disney and Darien Lake and stuff are now. And the mom and pop parks were becoming old and less thrilling rides and somewhat run down. And then all of a sudden in the late 80s and into the 90s, there's been a resurgence of mom and pop parks because there's a lot of people like me that have the nostalgia bug. So that's really what we depend on two things. We depend on, as far as having people come, we depend upon the nostalgia part, people that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s. And then we also depend upon young families that have little kids, because of the fact that we're a nonprofit organization and we're all volunteers except for our high school and college kids that work here. People can come here and ride the carousel for $1, ride some of the other rides for $2. So it's extremely affordable for local people that may not, have a ton of money to go to a corporate park like Darien Lake where you pay $30 or $40 just to walk through the gate.
We're always open to new ideas. If you look around at the rides that we have, they're vintage rides. They're rides that have been around for a while. In fact, they're all used. We don't have a single new ride here in terms of purchasing it brand new. But the smaller amusement parks are making a comeback.
We're opportunistic. If we find a ride from a park that's closing, we have people out there, myself included, and several of our other board members, that are looking all the time. So we've bought rides from parks that have closed down, and almost all of our rides, exception of one kiddie ride, are rides that were not the exact ride that was here, but one just like the exact ride we were here. And most of the rides that we have now, other than the carousel, the kiddie rides and the flying scooter rides, are mostly 50s era rides, which we have restored.
And who does that restoring?
Volunteers.
You guys.
Yep.
We have a great group of volunteers that are dedicated, without whom this park would never operate, and tremendous support of the community, both giving us donations and things like that, which we rely on. Every cent that we make at Eldridge Park goes back into the park. This is the people's park. They support it. They come here. They enjoy it. And you can enjoy it without spending a dime up here as well. You come up, you can walk, you can just sit back, relax, enjoy the lake, enjoy the sights, enjoy what it has to offer. Now, there's a lot of communities that would love to say they have an Eldridge Park, and there's not a lot of communities that do.
We have to take a quick break, but when we come back, there's more history to explore.
We're going for a ride on the centerpiece here at Eldridge Park, the carousel. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Summer is here, and we're exploring Eldridge Park in Elmira with Park Manager Joe DeVita, Carousel Preservation Society President Michael Robertson, and Board Member Dale Bryant. This park has been a place that many generations have enjoyed, and if there's one thing most people remember, it's the carousel. A carousel first came to Eldridge Park in 1910. It was steam-powered back then. That one ran until 1916 when a new operator came in. But then, in 1924, when Bob Long took over the amusement concession, he brought in another merry-go-round.
Well, this carousel originally ran at Young's $1 Million Pier in Atlantic City, and it's an 1890s Luft machine. It was in storage at the time when it was purchased by Bob Long and his wife Ruth. They came from a carousel family that we held out of the Philadelphia area and had many amusement parks operations and stuff on the East Coast. But they came here to Eldridge Park and felt that this was the place and a good place to build up a park, so they're the ones that really started the momentum for that.
And part of that 1890s Luft machine still sits in Eldridge Park today.
The structure is original. The structure is the same exact structure that Bob Long brought here. He modified it back in the 1940s to add the jumpers, but it's the same basic structure. In fact, just a couple of years ago, we had to change out some wiring, and we could see sunflower designs that I'm certain were on the original machine, which was kind of cool, talking from that many years ago.
All these mechanisms were the old 1900 mechanisms that they took and refurbished everything. It actually sits on one center stem. So there's no wheels as you look all the way around the carousel. It's just basically balanced on one pole.
The animals were actually sold off at one point in time, but the outer row of the animals were all recarved to match the exact ones that were here that Bob Long and family did at the time. We do have one of the horses is from the original ride, but they're all replicated. They're not fiberglass, they're not aluminum, they're hand carved and hand painted wood.
The outer row was specially carved for us by a fellow named Larry Pefferly, who unfortunately just passed away in November, but they were specially carved specifically for Eldridge Park.
Just to give you an example, the stirrups on the horses. Somebody hand carved that stirrup as a template. We had a casting made, and then we had one of the local companies cast them for us. So again, everything is original as far as the carousel is concerned in terms of, it might be new parts, but it's the original mechanism and the way the original mechanism worked. So.
But besides the history, it also has another claim to fame.
Fastest in the world, and nobody's ever disputed that fact, so we'll stake that claim and keep it.
So I gave it a shot, and yeah, it zooms.
And if you're on the outside of the carousel, you might want to try and grab one of these golden rings. It's good for a free ride, or you could keep it as a souvenir.
You can't go wrong. For $1, you get this absolutely awesome ride. It's just a lot of fun, and you can't imagine how many people you come out here and enjoy riding the carousel.
And she may not be a horse on the carousel, but the horse named American Girl is just as famous.
To the east of us, on the other side of what's now Grand Central Avenue, there was a harness racing driving track with a 3-tier grandstand, and a famous racehorse at the time, a famous harness horse by the name of American Girl, died on that track, and they commissioned a statue which was done in 1875.
Local kids start getting to it and vandalizing her, and broken up in several hundred parts. One of our volunteers went over to the city yard and collected all the parts he could find, brought it back to his little shop, and he spent about a year rebuilding the American Girl. And it was just like a giant 3D jigsaw puzzle. And we are building a building outside that's going to be her new home, hopefully forever, or for at least a couple hundred years.
And that's not the only new feature you can check out in Eldridge Park this summer. After the break, we're taking a walk through the park and learning about all there is to enjoy. Stay with us. Welcome back. Eldridge Park's summer season has begun, and there's something for the whole family to enjoy.
All right, I'm joined now with Joe DeVita. He is the park manager here at Eldridge Park. Joe, tell us, you're getting ready to open for the season. Tell us about the park.
The park, obviously we discussed some of the history earlier, but the park has been around for a number of years. About 3 years ago, we got a grant from the state and the city to build a midway, as you see it here. We're trying to bring it back to a Victorian walking park as well as a little amusement park. We are not a destination park. We are a place to go for local people on a Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, just for a little bit of entertainment. We have bands that are scheduled through the season on Saturday nights. We have a car show on Friday nights, and we have a number of other entertaining things going on as the season wears through. So.
Awesome. All right, so let's take a little tour of the park, see what it has to offer.
The first thing you'll notice when you walk in is a new addition. It's a mural painted by Elmira artist WENY-HD.
The mural is about the history of Eldridge Park, and it really has two sides. It's the sculpture and pleasure garden of the Victorian era, and it's the amusement park of the 1930s and 40s.
After lots of research, Wynn narrowed down the tons of popular attractions from over the years and featured a few favorites.
Well, one of the things that we found that people were really interested in certain things, and so Chapel Grove in the Victorian era is something that people really talk about a lot, and the carousel is something that they love, which is here again, which is wonderful, and also the roller coaster, and everyone seemed to have loved the roller coaster, and they said please put Speedway in.
The mural is dedicated to a longtime park lover, Mary Ellen Lancelotti. It truly brightens the Midway. And right across from that is the mini golf course. A replica of Mark Twain's study and lots of Victorian statues take you back in time. And then the plants, bridges, rocks, and waterfalls make this 18-hole course seem like a small oasis away from Elmira city life.
But as you can see, it's gorgeous. I mean, the plantings, the lighting, the fairways, it's just a great little miniature golf course.
Ooh, and watch out for the train. But that's not the only thing you can go for a ride on. For a great view and a little bit of exercise, you can jump in one of the Dragon paddle boats. Or, if you only prefer the view, relax in Jasper, the Roaring Dragon boat. The original Jasper launched in 1933, but now Jasper II cruises the lake. And if you prefer a faster ride, why not hop on the carousel? It's only $1. Whether you're on the inside jumping up and down on the horses or on the outside reaching for the special ring, carousel lovers say it's the
Fastest in the world.
And if you really have the need for speed, you can also check out the Thunderbird, or flying scooters if you were a daredevil back in the day.
They fly, and you're able to partially control whether you want to be up or down by controlling the wing. And pretty exciting ride. And I actually, when I was a volunteer and I was operating that when we were open, I had some folks that were traveling throughout the country to ride on the flying scooters. They went to 12 different locations.
And for the little ones, there's plenty of thrill too. Head over to Kittyland. There's a playground, the pony cart ride, and the turtle chase. But an old-time favorite is making its way back soon.
Additionally, we're building behind there with contributions and efforts from the popcorn truck. We're building a new ride, which is going to be a mini boat ride, basically boats in a tank going around and around. Again, this gets to be a busy area, but most of these rides are 20s, vintage, and we went through the effort of refurbishing them and making it part of our little home, our little park.
And if you just want to enjoy the outdoors or the scenery, you can always come take a stroll around the lake, have a picnic, or grab a snack at the cafe.
And it's amazing, you can come here most days during the week, and there's kids here, there's people walking through the park, there's people running and jogging. People come here at lunchtime, sit at one of the tables and have lunch. It's just a beautiful spot. And you get a little breeze coming across the lake. On a hot day, kind of cools you down a bit, and it's just fun.
And you can even bring all your family, friends, or even coworkers for a private party in the WIP building. The building that once held the popular ride now can be rented out.
We book up pretty good throughout the year. It's just it turns out to be, it's a gorgeous building inside.
And don't forget what Joe said either. There are car shows Friday nights, concerts on Saturdays, and other fun surprises lined up for the rest of the summer.
You can sit out here. People bring their chairs, their folding chairs, their lawn chairs, and they'll come, they'll sit, they'll listen to the music, enjoy.
This is our 11th season, and every year we try to do a little bit better, and this is going to be our best season yet. We have another ride for young children here, a boat ride that we're going to open this year, and we have a lot of events planned, and I think this is going to be a great season.
And with so much to do, how could you not love Eldridge Park? For many, this place brings back fond memories. And after the break, we'll hear why community members love this park. Stay with us. Welcome back to Twin Tier Sunday. We've taken a step back in time and learned about Eldridge Park's history, and we've learned about all there is to enjoy this summer. This park has been a community centerpiece for decades, but what do people love about it? Well, I spoke with multiple volunteers and park goers, and here are some of the fond memories they shared with me.
My fondest memory was here when, back in the 40s and 50s. We used to pack this place every night.
Well, when we were little children, my parents would bring us here about once a month, and my dad would park the station wagon. There were 8 of us children, and we'd all be screaming and running toward the carousel.
I was born and raised right here on the east side, so I spent many, many fine hours here at the park, absolutely.
The peacefulness, the nice ability to walk on a nice pathway, but we have been walking the park quite regularly. He's been here since 2012, and he walks just about every day here. He loves this park.
We love it because we come every year for the 4th of July and we do the fireworks. The kids love to ride the carousel and try to catch the rings as we go around.
I even had one lady from Binghamton. She grew up here, and she met her husband on the Thunderbirds, on the original Thunderbirds. So I was working the Thunderbirds that afternoon, and I asked her if she wanted to ride. And she was in a wheelchair. She says, "I can't." I said, "You can. We'll get you there." So we rolled her out. We helped her into the car, into the airplane. She flew to Thunderbirds. She was just as happy as you can possibly imagine. Bottom line, she's one of our volunteers now. She drives all the way from Binghamton just to volunteer to help us.
The Dixie cups, that was my favorite, cups and saucers that you could ride on right over here by the lake. And they had the flying scooters right here by this tree. And I remember the dragon boat, and I remember one time my uncle offered me a chance to take a ride, but I was really afraid of that dragon, so I didn't.
What I enjoy the most is seeing grandparents and grandchildren come here, and I listen to the grandparents tell their grandchildren how they met their spouse here, or they came here and they dated their spouse, and that I just love to hear those stories from people that come here and reminisce.
I have family that's from here originally, and they've told me about Eldridge Park for years, even back in the day when I guess they used to have a roller coaster here. They used to come, so I mean it's something that they've always talked about and come to when they were kids. So and it's nice that I live here and I can come and bring my kids and my grandson and kind of hang out and have a day and just enjoy the sunshine and the lake and let them just have a good time.
I'm just glad that they're refurbishing this park, and the mini golf behind me is just a fun golf to play. It's just a nice place for people to come and enjoy with families, or by yourself, or older people.
Or with your dog.
Or with your dog, exactly.
Back then, I mean, this was it. Everybody wanted to work at Eldridge Park. But now everybody got to work at Eldridge Park. That was just like one of the lucky ones, maybe. I don't know,
So there's just so much that happened here at the park back in the day, and it was just a lot of fun. And I think a lot of people share that sentiment.
So as you can see, there is a ton to enjoy here at Eldridge Park, something for the whole family, and they have concerts and different events scheduled throughout the entire summer. The park will be open through at least Labor Day, and we'll post the hours on our website for you. You could also check their Facebook page. So for now, we're going to go take a sunset cruise around the lake. Thanks so much for joining me here on Twin Tiers Sunday, and we'll see you next time.